Remember when we first come here, this morning we said, when we meditate, we have to follow the instructions, otherwise you will be wasting your time. If you don't follow the instructions and just sit there, doing nothing, just sit there, you thought nobody know what you're thinking because we can't read your mind. We can't read your mind. If you just sit there doing nothing or sleeping, it's not of any use to you. You may as well go home. You don't need to sit in here, idling. So there are 3 A's of meditation that if you sit at home, if you sit here, you have to follow these 3 A's of meditation. A stands for adjustment. You have to adjust from the temporal world, from the materialistic world to the spiritual world. Because you are going into another world, a world of spirituality, not a world of materialism anymore. So, we said, to summarize from sutras and abhidhammas and sastrases, to you, we need 3 adjustments. The first one is adjustment to the body. The second one is adjustment to the breath. The third is the adjustment to the mind. And we have been very brief because when we first start with meditation, we don't want to spend 2 hours explaining to you the 3 adjustments. We just briefly summarize and explain it to you. But today we go a little deeper. The first adjustment is adjustment to the body. Adjustment to the body requires not just to the body, to what your body interact with, which is the environments. So we adjust, first of all, externally from what is outside of us, then we go inside of us. From the crude to the refined, from the external to the internal. So that's how you look at it. When you meditate, you reflect within, you don't reflect outside. So let's talk about adjustments to the body, adjustment externally. Before we even adjust to the body, what is external to our body is the environment, which includes the body. There are 5 conditions that have to be fulfilled in order to have the proper adjustment to the body. The first one is, let me just repeat the Chinese language first. 持戒清净, or 持戒清净. So it's observance of the purity of maintaining precepts, or observance of precepts. That's the first requirement. 持戒清净, 持戒清净. Observance of precepts. If anybody who meditate without adhering or following the precepts, you're not doing the right, genuine meditation. Even if you are successful in obtaining samadhi, that is not true samadhi. Why did I say this? What are the precepts? What are the precepts? What's the precepts has, of course, has other synonyms. For example, sila, S-I-L-A in the Sanskrit language, sila, or praktimoksa in Sanskrit language. They all have the same meaning, following things that you should not do. There are things in this world that whatever you're doing, there are things that you should do, and there are things you cannot do. There are things you should say, and there are things that you cannot say. I want to do everything I want. As long as I like it, I can do anything in this world. That's a no-no. You cannot just do whatever you want. So these are the precepts. What are these precepts? Maybe let me go through some of the precepts. When we through three ways we carry out karma. In other words, whatever we are doing, we do it through three sources. Through the body, by physical action, or from the mouth, verbal, speech, or from thinking. So whenever the karma is created out of three sources, in the Chinese language we call it 身口意. So karma is created through behavior, through physical behavior. That's number one. Through the speech, verbally, from the mouth, and through the mind, with mentality. That almost contains all. Anything else? No. That from behavior, from speech, from thinking. And of course, the foundation of it, the main source of it is from thinking. Because every action, every behavior, every word you utter is from mentality. But just to split it up into three sources is body, speech, and mind, or physical, verbal, and mentality. What can the physical part of the body do? What can your behavior do? What would your behavior do? Do you know how you behave? Do you know physically what you can do? There are virtuous things that you do, and there's non-virtuous deeds that you do. What are the non-virtuous ones? Killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. These are from behavior. You can do killing, you can do stealing, and you can do sexual misconduct. These are the things that you do behaviorally. Of course, the virtuous things is abstinence from it, refrain from it, abstaining from killing, not killing, abstaining from stealing, it means not stealing, abstinence from sexual misconduct, you don't do sexual misconduct. No adultery, no prostitution, no one-night stand, nothing like that. You don't do that kind of thing. So there's the virtuous deeds and the non-virtuous deeds. And of course, you can analyze further in detail. What is killing? Did I kill? Killing could be killing indirectly and killing directly, killing by advising, insinuating. There's so many, just the word killing involves so much thinking and analysis into it. But today we're not doing that. We just want to tell you something about adjustments to the body which include observance of precepts. So you must not kill, you must not steal, and you must not commit sexual misconduct. Before you meditate, you have to observe these. In other words, if you're stealing, if you're killing, if you're committing sexual misconduct, it does not matter how good you are in your meditation. The samadhi that you achieve is not the genuine ones, because you don't have the basic foundation to follow on. And some people can still be successful in samadhi, in getting the samadhi, in getting the concentration, but that concentration is not the right one, it's not the virtuous one, it's not within the path of enlightenment. So you must know that even before meditation, there are things that you should do and things that you should not do. You must not kill, you must not steal, and you must not commit sexual misconduct. How about verbally? Verbally, you cannot lie, you cannot say immoral language, you cannot equivocating. What is equivocating? Equivocating is just from one fact. To Mr. A, you say yes. To Mr. B, you say no. So you have two tongues. And because of this two-tongue behavior, you implicate a lot of people doing bad things. You could commit some killing, indirect killing because of that. Equivocating. Or in office politics, we call it stepping people's back. Your colleague stepping your back, tell-to-telling. Many things could be committed in equivocating, equivocal language. So lying, immoral language, slandering, equivocating, all this is from the mouth. You cannot do those. When you are true meditators, you cannot do those deeds. Those are the basic. How about mental? Engaging in the minds and objects of attachment, engaging in thoughts of harming others, and engaging in wrong views. So these are briefly some of the precepts that one has to, the practitioner of meditation must follow. You have to follow these in order to meditate well. So, as I said, right now I'm just talking on adjustments to the body, the environment, and your body. I haven't talked about adjustment to breath and adjustment to the mind. I'm just going a little bit more details now. Observance of precepts. If you don't do this, you can never get enlightened. Have you seen anybody, can you imagine someone who do killing and lying and sexual misconduct and all that and it becomes a Buddha? No, absolutely impossible. Or not even a Bodhisattva. So you must stand on the righteous ground before you become enlightened. So what is the second requirement? The second requirement is proper food. Proper food in the adjustment is you've got to have proper food. I have seen people who half an hour ago, before they come for meditation, they came from a restaurant. They fill their stomach with lobsters and fish and steaks and meat and pork chops and everything. And then immediately after they have eaten all these things, they come for meditation. You fill your own with animals you kill inside your body and you come for meditation. It's not that effective. So you got to have the right proper food, the right quantity, the right quality. A quality does not have to be expensive. Food does not have to be expensive to be nutritious, to have nutrition. You gotta consider the kind of food. When should you eat before meditation? How long before meditation? At least 1 hour. You should eat 1 hour. If you wake up, today is Saturday, I'm going to the temple, and I'm going to wake up 8:30 and I still have half an hour, and I eat my hamburger on my way when I'm driving, and immediately I come for meditation, that's not the way to go. You got to have your breakfast 1 hour before meditation. So this is something that you should watch out. Proper food. Preferably, there should be a vegetarian, not eating meat. But anyway, we don't want to go in details into why. How come we don't eat meat? How come we can't eat meat? How come we must be a vegetarian in order to be a true good meditator? All these requirements. You can ask questions at a lunch period that we can answer them. So the second one is appropriate food or proper food. The third is you got to have a quiet surrounding. So if you are a busybody, if you are extremely busy in your work, in your household, you just stop your work and immediately come to meditation, you may not have enough time to gear yourself towards it. Which means that you need, this is something that is difficult to follow, especially for people who are used to busy work, who are used to hard work. Immediately, they stop their hard work and come for meditation. It's not that easy. You got to have that psychological break before you come for meditation. If you're always thinking about the work, I have this I haven't done, I have that I haven't finished, then you cannot meditate properly. That's the reason why they all say that it's easier for the monks to get enlightened than the layman, because the layman has family, have kids, have wife, have parents to look after, or kids, duties and work, how can they meditate properly? How can they be free from all this rigmarole of life? Or how can they extricate themselves from like a chrysalis of the worms? They build the worm, what do you call that? Chrysalis? To bind themselves as a chrysalis. I think it's called a chrysalis. The worms, the caterpillar, throw out this thread and bind himself in there. How can you meditate with that? So you got to break through this chrysalis of life. So that's why people become monks and nuns. They become, they take the monastic life, is to free themselves from the busyness of life, from all these moral responsibilities of being a father, being a wife, a husband, or parents. Do you know that this is all karmic force that bind you to become what you are, become what we are? You have to be the father of 3, 4 kids. You have to look after them. You get a bondage in there. That's karma. You work very hard to support them, and then when they grow up, they're all gone, and then you're all by yourself. And this is all karma. I'm not saying you should avoid that responsibility. That's karma that gets you in there. So, if you lead a monastic life, then maybe you can free yourself from all these duties and responsibilities. And even in a monastery, like me, I have a lot of duties and responsibilities to look after the temple and make sure everything is okay. Now, why do I do that? Well, you should go up to the mountain and lock yourself in a cave and meditate. You don't need these duties and responsibilities. You look at this in another way. A true Bodhisattva can sacrifice his time for others. I know that if I don't have any responsibilities, I avoid my responsibility and I get into a Bhutan in a cave, which is so quiet and nice, and then I can meditate in there, and there's no nuisance, no responsibilities, no duties. Then I'm not enlightening anybody. I'm not contributing myself to the society. I'm not contributing my Bodhisattva spirit to sentient beings. So that is the sacrificing part in being a Bodhisattva. In other words, to sacrifice your enlightenment time to enlighten others. We don't need to talk to. It's free, you know. Why should I talk to you to get you enlightened? Do I have that responsibility? The Hinayana and some of the Theravada schools said that I don't need to do it like that. I just meditate in my cave and I become enlightened and I'm free. I emancipate, liberate myself from suffering, and that's sufficient. But the Bodhisattva said, no, I cannot be completely liberated unless all sentient beings become liberated. I don't want to leave them. I want to be one with them. Do you see the difference? Whatever you choose, you want to choose to be Theravada, you want to enlighten yourself first, you want to know how to swim first so that you won't get drowned. That's good enough. However, you have not mastered the swimming technique, but you start to save people in the process of learning it. That's even more acceptable too, because you're more considerate, you're more compassionate, you're more caring for others. That's another approach. Whichever your approach you take, that's up to you. Which one is the greatest is up to your thinking to decide. So, you're going to have a quiet surrounding, and also avoidance of excessive duties and responsibilities. And the fifth is close to a true teacher. Nowadays, there's so many centers internet websites that you can access to. You have to be close to the true, authentic, conscientious ones. Teacher include 3 ways as a teacher. The first one is those who protect or give you a place, who support you. They are your teachers too. That's the first teachers. What is this kind of teachers? The donors of the temple. Do you know that what you enjoy now is donated by a lot of generous people? Every tile, every floor, they work very hard to make the money, and they have the generosity to donate it so that we can build this hall, so that you can enjoy meditation within it. Those are your teachers, those are the donors, those are your protectors, those are the considerate people who consider not only himself, who consider giving out to the society. So I remember last lunch there was a question saying, how come we need to build a majestic temple? It's enough to build a poor little shack to accommodate people, and that's good enough. No, there are people who are so generous and they say, we want to build a majestic, magnificent temple to attract people to come in there and to give them the facilities so that they become enlightened. So these are bodhisattvas. These are teachers. They are invisible to you. They are not related to you. They may not even be, in your frame of mind, the teacher who's standing in front of a classroom and write on the chalkboard, and give you lectures and notes. These are the teachers who are donors, who support every tile, every floor tile, every column, all the painting and everything. This is all donated. And they have a lot of merits in what they did because they are for people. It's just like in the lunch. Some people say, I just go and get a free lunch. That's good enough for me. A free lunch, vegetarian lunch, it tastes good. I like it. So every Saturday noon, I come for a free lunch. Do you know that it's more blissful to give than to receive? If you're always sitting in there and waiting for people to give it to you, it's not as blissful as to giving out. People like to give. And you don't just sit there and receive. You also like to give too. Every lunch is donated by people who are generous, who are compassionate. Do you want just to be the receiver, or you also want to be the giver? So there are people who give in every way. Those are the teachers. That's the number 1 teachers. Number 2 teachers is those who practice with you. You are my teacher too. Your neighbor, every one of your neighbor right now is your teacher. They always have something that you can receive teaching from. They practice with you. They're not your enemies, they're your teachers too. You discuss with them, you progress with them. They are your companion teachers. And the 3rd teacher is that teacher who talks, who gives out the lecture notes, and that's me. Right now, there's me, and occasionally Lee also gives out lectures and give instructions, and free instructions, lecture notes and talk. Those are the 3 kinds of teachers. You need teachers to give you the teaching. And we're just a medium of what the Buddha's teaching. We give it out through us. So these are the 5 conditions: observance of precepts, proper food, quiet surroundings, avoidance of excessive duties and responsibilities, and close to the true teacher. Adjustments to the body. And then when we get closer and closer, we say, how do we sit? And you know that. How to half lotus position, full lotus position. We cross our legs, or we put both legs on the floor. We loose clothes, no tightened belt, no perfume, no cologne, no fabric softener clothes with pungent smell of fabric softener. Remember, just to repeat, don't wear any perfume when you come to the meditation hall. You don't want to affect your neighboring meditator. No cologne. Preferably, of course, you take your bath before you come. After you jog for 2 miles, you're sweating and you come for meditation, we don't want to subject our noses to the sweatiness of the smell. So make sure that you have everything is clean before you come for meditation. So this is adjustment to the body. If you're at home, of course, you cannot meditate in front of an air conditioner, not in front of a window where the wind is blowing at you, not close to a TV and a phone. All these you have to observe. Adjustment to the body is relatively easy. Of course, the posture, you cannot have a crooked back, you cannot lean against the wall, and the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth, and don't tilt up your shoulders like that. You have to relax. You have to tell every part of your body to relax. You do a counting toll of every part of your body. You tell your head to relax, your eyes, your nose, your ears. You just virtually whisper to yourself that head, the eyes relax, ear relax, nose relax, tongue relax. You tell every part of your body to relax. How can you meditate without relaxation? So you do that, that's adjustment to the body. The next is adjustment to breath. When you're meditating, what is your object of attention? You need an object of attention to meditate. As I said, when you're not meditating, what are your objects of attention? Whatever form is the object of attention of your eyes, sound, object of attention of your ears, taste, object of attention of your tongue. You get all kinds of objects of attention. Millions and billions and uncountable of them. And in the process of interacting with these objects of attention, mental afflictions is created at the same time. Mental functions. What are these mental functions? Greediness, hatred, jealousy, enmity, fraudulence, negligence, hatred, violence, all these things, because when you are interacting with the outside world, all these objects of attentions, you create these mental functions and afflictions, and at the same time, you perform the action, your speech, and your thinking, and you create your karma, and then you suffer. But as a meditator, when you're meditating in here, we don't want those millions and uncountable objects of attention. We want to simplify all these that we encounter in the outside world into just one object of attention. Do you know that we've been doing that? Or you don't know? It's getting a little late if you know now, but it's okay. Better than not knowing it. What you're doing now is actually something wonderful, something wondrous. Why? Because you're reducing millions of objects of attention into just one. And what do we use in here? There's so many. You can create your own object of attention. But what we use now is the breath. We say, we visualize ourselves as one molecule inside the nostril, and we are feeling the air in and out. That's our object of attention inside. We create this object of attention in order that we eliminate all others of our object of attention. Can you do that? It's extremely difficult. Why? Because since millions of life cycles, we have been subject ourselves to so many millions of object of attentions that you reduce your attention to just one. It's extremely difficult. But that's what the Buddha did, and he became successful in enlightenment. Because we've been confused by all these objects of attention. And we perform karmic force corresponding to this object of attention. Now we reduce it to one. And we train ourselves to be consistently concentrating in that object of attention. Why do we do this? Why do we do this? Why do we create this object of attention and then stick onto it? Because we want to know the mind, because we want to strengthen the mind, because we know the mind is very powerful. If we concentrate our object of attention in all others, our mind will be led away to do all these other things. If our object of attention is simplified to just one, in the path of development and of enlightenment, we'll go that route, we'll go the saintly route. So that's our object of attention, the breath, adjustment to breath. Why do we choose this object of attention? Why not just a flame, a candle flame? Why not a Buddha statue, image? Depends on what you're used to. But the Buddha has always been suggesting breath, because breath is the most inherent in you, the closest to you. Your breath is the closest to you. You can feel it. And it can easily create that equanimity in you. So don't regard this as something very simple, very easy. It's extremely difficult. But you become successful in concentrating in this object of attention, the power comes. Because the mental power comes in that way. And that is the adjustment to breath. You see, usually when Lee do the introduction, it takes him about 10 minutes. But now I've been talking about these 3 adjustments for 45 minutes already. I haven't finished. So this is the time to know a little bit more about it. The next time I talk about it for probably 2 hours. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a little bit increase more and more and more so that you know about it. So this adjustment to breath is to create your object of attention. Just apart from the spiritual, the religious connotation of this. If you teach a kid, a student, to concentrate on an object of attention and he becomes successful in it, you know what happened to that student? He will be an A student because he has so much attention, concentration in what he's doing. He just need 10 minutes to finish one chapter because he can concentrate in it. Whereas Sunny, his thought is so desultory that he cannot concentrate. Some people cannot concentrate. He cannot study. The person who can concentrate is always the good studier, the good worker. Mind, mental, mind, the power of the mind. Whatever the mind can conceive, the mind can do, right? If the mind wants to do something bad, it will carry out the bad deeds. If he's so concentrated in it. If the mind wants to do something good, he'll be successful in the good deed. Which one do you want? Of course, the good ones. So that's adjustment to breath. How about adjustment to mind? That's the most difficult. You know the adjustment to body. You know the adjustment to breath now. How about adjustment to the mind? That has taken me 5 hours to explain, and now I'm going to do it in 5 minutes. When you have your object of attention, then that means there's 9 stages in adjustment to the mind. 9 stages. Just to simplify it, 9 stages. The first one is mental placement. You got to place your mentality on that object. We call it mental placement. But you may not be successful. You cannot be continuous. So the second criteria is continuous placement. because your thought will go away. But first of all, you have to start placing your mind onto it, and then you know that you cannot do it naturally because you have been so used to many millions of objects of attention. Now you place it on one, it's difficult, so you need a continuous placement. Do it continuously. Your mind goes away, you have to be continuous. This placement on that object must be continuous. And then, even if you want to be continuous to place your mind on the object, you can't do it because our mind is like a monkeying mind. It will go away. You need to correct it. Correcting placement. If the mind goes away, you're going to correct it or come back. I don't want to wander in every direction. The mind has to come back. So that's a correcting placement or a patch placement. And then you come to the fourth level, which is close placement. Because in correcting placement, the monkey has gone away very far for about 20 minutes before you put it back. It's very far away. Now it's getting close. The monkey can't go too far because you immediately know that you're not concentrating. In correcting placement, you may not know. Even the thought goes away, you may not even know about it. It's not close to you, but now it's so close to you, so it's close placement. And the fifth is what? In the process of doing this continuous correcting and close placement, you are taming it. So the fifth level is the taming level. And after you tame it for a while, you come to what? You come to pacification stage. Then you can pacify your monkey mind. You can pacify it. And then as you go on, you go into the seventh, which is complete pacification. Complete pacification is you have very few distraction. You still need to apply effort onto it, but very few distraction. And then as you go on to the eighth level, which is one-pointedness of mind. That means no more distraction, but you still need to apply efforts to it. And then finally, you come to the ninth stage, which is the balance placement. In that level, it's spontaneous. You don't even need to apply efforts. There's no distraction, no efforts required. The one-pointedness of mind, the complete pacification is right there, spontaneous, because the monkey won't go away at that time. The monkey stay put. So that's adjustment to the mind, 9 stages. So I finished in 45 minutes the 3 adjustments. Adjustment to the body, adjustment to breath, adjustment to mind. So all those who are here, you should know about this now. Don't say, where do I go from here? I've been sitting here for 5 years. I don't know where I'm going. You don't have to go. Where do you want to go? You don't have to go anywhere. You go inside. There's nothing to be obtained. Where do you want to go? No place to go. Enlightenment is not a place. If it's a place, it's still in the form, in the sound. That's not the true enlightenment. There's nothing to be obtained. When there's nothingness to be obtained, even that nothingness, you must get rid of it. Because enlightenment is beyond thinking. It's beyond mentality. What is beyond mentality? You can't even talk about it. Even when I talk about it, it's playful. It's a game.